Imagine you're sitting at a desk with a blank white sheet of paper in front of you. Got it? Now imagine you take a pen and press it down into the center of the page. You're about to begin a brand new drawing. Only this time, there's a catch. You must complete the full drawing while never letting your pen leave the paper, using one continuous line to form every piece of your artwork. Sounds difficult, but let's take it a step further. Now imagine trying to create a drawing using one line, but that line cannot cross over itself. No hatch marks, shading, or swirls. Seems impossible, right? Well, in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the story of an artist you may never have heard of, who made single-line engravings his trademark style and created countless masterpieces full of rich detail in the process. This is the story of an infinite, unbroken spiral. This is The Incredible Engravings of Claude Mellan. In the early spring of 1598, Claude Mellan was born into a family of coppersmiths in northern France. Even from an early age, his parents recognized he had a talent for drawing. By the age of 21, he was living in Paris, where he studied painting and engraving, and it is during this time that he created his first known print. His early engravings show possible influence from Leonard Gaultier, who was a very prolific engraver and may have been Mellan's teacher for a time. It was not long after that, however, that Mellan traveled to Rome in 1624 at the age of 26. He was tutored briefly by Francesco Villamena, who unfortunately died later that same year. His education was then taken over by the highly influential French painter Simon Vouet. Vouet was pivotal in bringing the Italian baroque style to France and even served as the court painter of King Louis XIII. It was Vouet who encouraged Mellan to work on his drawing skill, seeing it as a crucial aspect of both engraving and traditional painting. While in Rome, Mellan further honed his engraving skill, primarily focusing on reproducing works by other painters and making engravings of their more popular pieces. He made engraved versions of several works by Vouet, as well as works by other prominent Baroque painters, namely Pietro da Cortona and Gian Lorenzo Bernini. Mellan also worked at this time on a few of his own original pieces, most notably St. Francis de Paul and the Penitent Magdalene. In this stage of his career, Mellan's engravings were created in a traditional manner, and it was only after his return to Paris, around 1637, that he began to develop his own very unique style. Now, in order to understand how spectacular Mellan's newfound style truly was, we must first understand what was typical for engravers at the time. Engraving had been around since the early 15th century. In the past, goldsmiths and metalsmiths had long been carving patterns into armor or jewelry. But in Germany, with the widening availability of paper as a medium, some metalworkers began documenting their designs by covering them with ink and stamping them onto parchment. Thus, a new method for artwork was created. In order to engrave designs into these metal plates, artists would use a burin, a sort of specialized chisel. The sharp tip of the tool would score the metal plate, usually made of copper, just deep enough to form a groove that would show up once the ink was applied and the stamp was created. Naturally, the main artistic element that is key to this process is the principle of line. The more precise and clear an artist could be with their use of lines, the better the finished product would turn out. Techniques such as cross-hatching, where the lines are crisscrossed in an increasingly dense pattern, created better illusions of depth and form using simply lines. Incredibly finely detailed prints could be created by master artists who knew how to implement all the right techniques, along with a steady hand and eye for composition. The technique that Mellan chose to focus on was that of the swelling line, where the tapering and widening of each line created a sense of shadow and shape, while simultaneously eliminating the need for so many overlapping lines, like with cross-hatching. Similar in ways to the cartography concept of close and far apart lines denoting the relative steepness or gradual incline of a given terrain. The technique started to be used around 1560, but when Mellan arrived on the scene, he ended up using the technique in a way no one had really done before. Taking his engraving tool in one hand and using the other to rotate the metal plate, Mellan would create a continuous spiral, originating in the center of the plate and continuing outwards until it reached the edges of the frame. By carefully widening and tapering the continuous line, turning the tip of the burin while still rotating the plate, Mellan ended up with not only an unbroken spiral, but one that, in the end, portrayed his subject with amazing realism. The incredible command of the form and tools that pieces like this would require is impossible to understate. Mellan was nothing less than a master of his craft, and people of his time definitely took notice. He gained much popularity as an engraver of portraits for prestigious patrons. Eventually, his work gained the attention of the royal court of France, and he was appointed as engraver to the king. For 50 more years, from the age of 39 until his death at 87, Mellan enjoyed a competent fortune and was greatly esteemed by all who knew him. Each of Melan's engravings was painstakingly handcrafted via the same process, after which numerous copies could be printed onto regular paper. Melan created several paintings as well, though some of them are lost, and the proof of their existence only survives to this day through the engravings he made of them. All told, there are over 400 engravings attributed to Melan, as well as over 100 drawings. Melan's most famous work is the engraving of the face of Jesus, known as the Veil of Saint Veronica. This, considered by many to be his magnum opus, supremely demonstrates his technical mastery of the craft, his attention to detail, and his devotion to the Christian church. The title of the engraving refers to the Christian relic of the same name. The story goes that as Jesus was carrying his cross, a woman named Veronica used her veil to wipe the blood from his face. The imprint on the veil left by the blood was said to depict the true likeness of Christ. It is this story that inspired Melan's work of art, as noted by the Latin inscription near the bottom of the engraving. In English, it reads, "The unique one made by one, like no other." This reference to singular uniqueness can be interpreted in 3 different ways, signifying at once the singularity of Christ, the veil's irreproducible aura, and the unbroken aspect of a divine, spiraling line. I believe Irving Lavin said it best in his scholastic review of the engraving when he said, "Anyone who begins to trace the convolutions of the single, continuous, undulating spiral line that evolves, or devolves depending on the direction one follows, ultimately to fill the universal void of the paper sheet, cannot escape becoming, as I have been, entranced, enchanted, bedazzled, to the point of obsession with this profoundly moving image." It is that enchantment that so defines every one of Claude Melan's astonishing engravings. Truly a master of his craft, his work speaks for itself as one of the finest achievements in engraving and art as a whole, a truly unique icon. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe so you can be the first to catch all the upcoming content for this brand new channel. Until next time, this has been Angel in the Marble.